Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for the second session of our Distinguished Speaker Series for the fall 2017. What a great crowd to have in the house, and we certainly are honored to have another very distinguished individual with us this afternoon, and Dr. Lou Holtz, who is certainly no stranger to Trine University. Dr. Holtz is the namesake of Trine University's Lou Holtz Master of Science and Leadership program, which I know many of the students and the professors are here with us today. Dr. Holtz previously spoke to their Distinguished Speaker Series in March of 2015. He was our commencement speaker in 2011, receiving an honorary doctorate at that ceremony. Upon the conclusion of Coach Holtz's remarks today, we'll open the floor to a few question and answers. If you look at the end of each aisle are microphones, we'd encourage you to come down and ask questions at that time. Coach Holtz has served as a member of the Trine University Board of Trustees since 2011 and will be recognized with trustee emeritus status at the conclusion of today's ceremony. Dr. Holtz is not only coach in the history of college football to take 6 different teams to a bowl, but also to win 5 bowl games with different teams and have 4 different teams ranked in the top final poll. A West Virginia native, became the 25th head coach at Notre Dame following 2 seasons at Minnesota, 7 at Arkansas, 4 at North Carolina State, and 3 at William and Mary. And he spent the 1976 season as a head coach of the New York Jets. After his departure from Notre Dame in the 1996 season, he joined CBS College Football Today before becoming the head football coach at the University of South Carolina for 6 seasons from 1999 to 2004. Until 2014, Coach Holtz was a football college studio analyst for ESPN. He is also a member of the College Football Hall of Fame, where he was inducted in 2008, and is a widely sought-after speaker and the author of 3 best-selling New York Times books. Coach and his wife, Beth, are the parents of 4 children, grandparents to 9 children, and currently he resides in Orlando, Florida. Will you all please join me to welcome legendary coach and friend of Trine University, Dr. Lou Holtz. Coach?
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Holy Ned. Thank you. A beautiful introduction. I really appreciate that. Type I could listen to all day and thought I was going to have to. I think it's hey, the most memorable introduction I ever had, I won the Ohio Valley Man of the Year. My high school buddy introduced me to get up and he said, only in America can it happen for a guy born into poverty during the Depression but worked hard and vigorously and became one of the most respected people in the entire country. And I got my chest out and he went on to say, an individual is loved and respected. He said, I could go on and on about me, but I'm here to talk about Lou Holtz. So any introduction is great. First of all, Dr. Brooks, you should be up here giving the sermon on leadership because what you've done with Trine University is absolutely fantastic. And then to see my good friend, you really have. And Susie and Ralph Trine, I can't say how much I love you. You people have been absolutely fantastic in everything we've done. And Mr. James is the chairman of the board of trustees, and it's been a pleasure to work with him. So now, I know 10% of you are going to remember 10% of what I said to us after I said it, but for the next few minutes, I want to share thoughts and ideas of things I wished I had known when I was younger. I'm so old now, my birthday candles cost more than a cake. But as Mark Twain said, the 2 most important days in your life, one's the day you're born, the other's the day you discover why you're born. And when you discover why you're born, you'll come to this conclusion. You're born to help other people, to make life an awful lot easier for them. When you get away from the symptom, it's all about you. When you walk in the room, hey, look at me, it's all about me. No, when you get to the point, you understand you're on this earth in order to help and assist other people. A lot of people can be successful. Oh, success, they make a lot of money. But when they die and pass away, there's nothing left. But when you're significant is when you help other people be successful, and that lasts many, many a lifetime. And we're here to talk about leadership. The most important thing I feel about leadership is having a vision. When I went to the University of Notre Dame, Father Hesburgh said, Coach, in an hour we're going to walk into that press conference. I'm going to announce you're the head coach at Notre Dame. I'm going to give you that title. I cannot announce to the world you're the leader of the Notre Dame football team, because see, titles come from above. The people below will determine if you're a leader. And if you're going to be a leader, you have to have a vision. Everything starts with a vision. Where do you want to go? And then you have to have a plan how you're going to get there. You lead by example. You hold people accountable for the choices they make. But also understand this, when you're a leader, you're going to have problems, you're going to have difficulties, and you're not going to get a lot of compliments. All you're going to hear about is the bitching and the moaning of things that go wrong. Now, that's all part of leadership. Since I spoke to you, our house burnt to the ground. I mean burnt to the ground. June 22nd, 2015. I was awakened with a smoke alarm at 2:30 in the morning. I awakened my wife of 56 years. So when I tell you I've been married 56 years, you automatically know I'm an expert at following instructions. I know how to follow instructions. I wakened her, and we got out of the house with our bathrobe. That's all we got out. Now, I'm on record. I wakened her. I'm not sure she would have wakened me, but I did waken her. We got out of the house. That house is burning. Approximately a month before the house burned down, we're pulling in the driveway, and I said to my wife, did you think when you were in East Liverpool High you'd live in a home this beautiful? She said, this home doesn't belong to us, it belongs to God. She said, everything we have belongs to God. She's very religious. So a month later, that house burning down, I'm saying, God, you ought to do something about your house. You know, burn it down. Not mine, it's yours. 8 o'clock in the morning, there's nothing but smoke and ashes. My wife is crying. I said, honey, you have 24 hours to cry and wallow and feel self-pity. But come 8 o'clock Monday morning, we're never going to look back. We're going to move forward. We're going to build it bigger and better than what we lost. And I gave her an unlimited budget to rebuild it, and she exceeded it. But having problems is part of life. And don't tell people about your problems. 90% don't care, and the other 10% are glad you got them. But everything starts with a vision. I would go to the university. I came to the University of Notre Dame. We had a vision. And when you sit down with a football team, you have to set your goals. Everything starts with a vision. You need 4 things in your life. You need something to do. You need someone to believe in. You need something to hope for. And that is the thing. And you need someone to love. But having something to hope for is where it all starts. And to me, the biggest mistake I find with people is we stop dreaming. We stop thinking about what we want to do. And ladies and gentlemen, everything starts with a vision. I never had any goals growing up. I mentioned I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I was born during the Depression in a cellar by Dr. McGraw. I wasn't even born in a hospital. My dad had a 3rd grade education. And I want to remind you, everything I tell you is absolutely true. I'm not going to talk about something I read about or heard about. But we had 1 bedroom for my sister, myself, and my parents. We had a kitchen. We had a half bath. And the half bath did not have a tub, a shower, or a sink. There was no welfare. There was no food stamps. There was no safety net. Lived there 7.5 years. The reason I bore with a silver spoon in my mouth, I was born in this country. And I was taught by my parents, if I was willing to work hard and believe and not blame other people, not procrastinate and expect there to be obstacles, that I could have a successful life. That's why I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth. Not what we had, but what we were taught. But I got to be honest, nobody in our family had ever gone to college. I had no desire to go to college. I remember in the 2nd grade, the nuns asking everybody in the class, what do you want to be? I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a policeman. I wanted to be a garbage collector. She said, why is that? I said, they only work on Tuesdays. What better deal is that? Why would you want to do anything else? You know, that's just the way I thought. But everything starts with a vision. You know, I went to the University of Notre Dame. We took the program on the bottom. We took it at the very top. For 9 straight years, we went to January 1 bowl, the sugar, the cotton, the orange, or the fiesta. Nobody's done it before. Nobody's done it since. We took it at the very top, and we maintained it's the dumbest thing I've ever done. There's a rule of life. You're either growing or you're dying. The tree's either growing or it's dying. So's grass. So's a marriage. So's a business. So's a person. Has everything to do. Are you trying to accomplish something? Or are you just trying to maintain? We're on top. You say, this is pretty good. Let's not risk anything. Let's maintain. Let's not change anything. We finished second in the country at Notre Dame. You know, everybody called me an idiot. That idiot finished second in the country. Guy finishes last in medical school, they call him doctor. That doesn't seem fair, but that's the way life is. And so you say, let's not risk anything, let's not change. And anytime you try to change, anytime you maintain, you're dying. When I left Notre Dame, I never thought I'd coach again. Where to go from Notre Dame, according to my mother, go directly to heaven, you sit by the Pope. You don't coach. And then I went to live in a town where the average age is deceased. And that's why everything is so important when you want to look forward. And one of the most important things at any school I went to, or even with my family or with myself, is what are we trying to accomplish, what are we trying to do. For example, we want to win the national championship. You may say, I want to be a president of a corporation, whatever. Whatever goals you have, that's critical. I think you need to sit down and ask yourself, where do I want to be a year from now, personally? Where do I want to be professionally? Where do I want to be socially? Where do I want to be financially? Decide what you want to do, but then answer these questions honestly. And these questions are important. What financial price are you willing to pay in order to do that? If I want to be a great golfer, I may have to buy better equipment. I may have to get good tutoring, good teachers. What sacrifices am I willing to make? As a football team, we want to win a national championship. What sacrifice are you willing to make? You're willing to give up drinking. You're willing to give up all the bad eating habits, etc. What sacrifice are you willing to make? The third question you ask yourself, what skills and talents do I have to acquire in order to do that? We got to block better, tackle better, throw better. There's skills and talents. You may need a better education, whatever skills and talents. Fourth thing, what bad habits do we have to get rid of? First thing is procrastination and pointing a finger at somebody else. You point a finger at somebody else, there's always three pointing back at you. The fourth thing we have to ascertain, who do I have to work with in order to achieve my goals or my purposes? And the last thing you have to ask yourself, what problems and obstacles am I going to have to overcome? Because you're going to have them. But ladies and gentlemen, everything starts with a vision. We cannot talk about leadership without having a vision. And I never had a problem with a coach or an athlete if we had the same objective. If we had the same objective, we might have a difference of opinion. He wants to throw the ball, and I want to run the ball. He wants to throw it so we can win. I want to run it so we can win. We have a difference of opinion. But if he wants to throw the ball so he can win to the pros, I want to win, that's why I want to run, we got a problem. And ladies and gentlemen, I cannot emphasize the problem we have in the country the day before. We had the same objective. The Democrats had a philosophy how to do it. The Republicans had a philosophy how to do it. But that was a difference of opinion. Now everybody has their own objective. That's why we have a problem, why they're difficult in this country. I'm not saying what's right or what's wrong. The point I'm making is you got to make sure that everybody in your organization is focused on one goal, the purpose. And when we talk about teamwork, you have to remember this. That everybody has a role, and we have a goal. I had two mandates in coaching, graduate and win. Not put them in the pros. How do we graduate and how do we win? We complicate life, and we don't have to. When I told you, and I mean this sincerely, I was in the lower third of my high school class. If it was not for people like me, there could have been no upper half of the class. I've been the bottom of it. Somebody said you've written 3 New York Times bestsellers. You're looking at the only guy in the world that's written more books than he has read. So I bring that because I'm just a simple individual, and we have a tendency to complicate life. The first time I ever used common sense was in the 7th grade. Now this story is basically true, but I will embellish it a little bit. I had a nun named Sister Mary Harriet who disliked me with pretty good justification because I was always saying things that upset her. There was a time you could not eat meat on Friday. The entire year round you had to eat fish. I do not like fish, so every Friday I'd complain. I wish the apostles had been ranchers rather than fishermen. I was convinced that's why we had to eat fish. Then I was asked her a question she couldn't answer. Why did Paul keep writing the Corinthians when they never wrote them back? You know, that makes no sense. One day we had a test, and it was a large test. I finished for everybody else because most of my paper was blank. I didn't know many answers. So I started looking around out of boredom. She thought I was trying to cheat. She hollered top of her lungs, "Lou Holtz, if I even suspect you're cheating, I'm taking 10% off your grade." I got out the textbook and said, 90 sounds good to me. So just what simple way. Now I'm going to make 4 assumptions of the people in this audience. I'm going to assume you want to be more successful professionally. I'm going to assume you want to have a good personal life. I'm going to assume you want to feel needed. In other words, if you didn't show up, who would miss you and why? And then I'm also going to assume you want to feel secure about your future. And I'm going to give you a simple plan I wished I'd learned more than 40 years ago. I wished I knew this when I got out of college, because we talk about self-image. See, self-image is so critical to our success in the future. There's only 2 types of people: those that pull people down and those that lift people up. And the people that lift people up are those that have a good self-image. And I know what it's like to have a poor self-image because I used to have one. I used to be insanely jealous of my wife. And not one time has my wife ever given me reason to be jealous of her. The problem wasn't with her, the problem was with me. We'd go to a cocktail party, she'd be talking to another man. He's always better looking, better built, and more intelligent. I think, why would she rather be with him than with me? And I would unfairly pull my wife down, criticize my wife, trying to pull her self-confidence down so she think that she was lucky to have me as a husband. That's what people with a poor self-image does. What we got to do is create an environment where we believe in ourselves and we lift other people up. Several years ago, we were at the beach, and my wife said, "Boy, you are skinny, aren't you?" I said, "I'd like to remind you, it was minor defect like that that kept me from getting a better wife. You know, but I won't make that mistake again." But you have to have a faith and believe yourself. And I want to give you 3 rules that will give you a good self-image and enable you to be a better parent and a better leader of any organization. We have federal laws, county laws, state laws, corporate laws, bylaws, in-laws, and outlaws. We only need 3 laws. And ladies and gentlemen, there are thousands of words, 422,000, I think, words in the English vocabulary. The most important word by far is the word choice. Whatever happens to us is going to be because of choices we make. Choose to do drugs, drop out of school, join a gang, get tattoos from head to bottom. You're choosing to have difficulty in life. And please stop blaming me for the choices you make. But everything is choice. And these 3 rules will always enable you to make the right choice. Rule number 1, do what's right. Do what's right and avoid what's wrong. There's never a right time to do the wrong thing. There's never a wrong time to do the right thing. I think it's right to be honest, right to be on time, right to be loyal. I think it's wrong to practice sexism, racism, spousal abuse. I think it's wrong to find a teammate's wallet before he lost it. That's called stealing, son. Let's just do the right thing. And I think it's also right to choose the proper attitude. What you're capable of doing is determined by the amount of talent God gave you. What you actually do is determined by your motivation. You may have the talent to run 109 flat, but if you aren't motivated to run it, you aren't even going to try it. But your attitude is going to determine how well you do something. You know, we have so many wonderful powers. We have the power to love, to think, create, to imagine, to plan. But the greatest power we have by far is the power to choose. You can choose whether you're going to act or procrastinate, believe or doubt, pray or curse, help or heal, succeed or fail. But life is nothing more than a matter of choices. And the attitude we have, and you're going to have difficulty. He mentioned about the fact I signed a 5-year contract with the New York Jets. I turned the job down 3 different times. And finally, Al Ward, the general manager, said, "Come tell Mr. Hess and Mr. Isler, you don't want to coach the Jets and coach Joe Namath." So I go to New York, tell him no. I called my wife that night. She said, "You did what?" I said, "I'm the head coach of the Jets." She said, "You went there to turn it down." I said, "Let's see what it's like. If we don't like it." I went there without a vision. I went there without a plan. I went there without a commitment. See, ladies and gentlemen, and every time something went wrong, I'm there 1 month and we lose John Riggins, greatest running back in the NFL, to the Washington Redskins. It was the first year of free agency. We didn't get anything in return. I didn't think it's what I want to do. And it bothers me to this day that I left people down who had a faith and confidence in me after 8 months. But see, ladies and gentlemen, the New York Jets, one of the best jobs in the world. But if we look at everything in a negative manner, we don't see the great opportunities we have in our life. We get to the point where we're looking at all the problems, all the difficulties, all the negative things, and we don't look at the great opportunities. New York Jets, one of the best jobs in the world. I couldn't believe it. That's a terrible job. Now when I look back, I said, how dumb was it? But it goes back to the attitude that you have. And what's your attitude when you have adversity? My first year at the University of South Carolina, my wife had her second major cancer surgery. She had 83 radiation treatments, 13 hours of surgery. Stage 4, squamous cell carcinoma of the throat. They gave her 10% chance to live. Now, I don't pray for her anymore. I pray to her. I mean, she's a saint. But I want to pause and say, if you want some great advice, listen to your spouse. Nobody knows you any better, loves you any more, wants to see you succeed any more, be any more honest with you. And my wife's my best friend. I remember I coached at Ohio State. We won the national championship. Ohio National Bank had a huge billboard sign that said, behind every successful person stands a very surprised mother-in-law. And that's true in my case. My son Skip went into a coma the week we played Georgia. My mother died the Friday before we played Florida. I was on a school airplane for 3 days. We landed Lady Island Airport on a Sunday night. They had no gas facilities. Pilot said, Coach, will you visit Darnell, Washington, recruiting? We're going to fly 11 miles to Hilton Head to get gas. During that 11-mile flight, the school plane crashed. One pilot was killed instantly, the other seriously injured, later died. We lost every football game we played that year. We went 0-11. And I had a kicker that said, I can't kick when you're watching. You know, you just explain I am going to be at the games. That's part of the contract. Now we're 0-11 that year, but records could be deceiving. We really weren't as good as our record would lead you to believe in. Everybody bitching and moaning, he's too old, the game pass to buy, you can't win at South Carolina. All the negative things. I'm in an airport after that first year, the guy came up and said, anybody tell you look like Lou Holtz? I said, happens all the time. He said, really makes you mad, doesn't it? You're down, you got two choices. Either you stay down or you pick yourself up. You can succeed when no one believes in you. You have no chance to succeed if you do not believe in yourself. I cannot emphasize how important it is to have faith and belief. I was in South Carolina. We had a young man named Ryan Brewer. Did not have a scholarship offer. Came to South Carolina because he believed he could play. We time him in the 40-yard dash. He arrives on campus, I swear to God. And he got in a race with a pregnant mother. The best he'd finish would be third. But ladies and gentlemen, he believed, and he ended up, we played Ohio State in a bowl game. His MVP rushed for over 100 yards, caught passing for over 100 yards, and he wasn't talented enough, but he believed. I can't begin to tell you how many times I got down on my knees and prayed for the courage and the strength. When I walked into a team meeting, I walked into a staff meeting, even though everybody was down, even though everybody's saying we couldn't win, there was no doubt in my mind that we're going to persevere. That's what leadership is. Remember I said one of them is lead by example? My attitude is I refuse to believe there's any problem, any difficulty, any obstacle is going to keep us from being successful in the long run, because we're going to persevere and we're going to find a way to succeed. 12 months later, South Carolina had the second greatest turnaround in the history of NCAA. We beat Ohio State on January 1. The following year, we beat Ohio State again on January 1. So we talk about doing the right thing, the attitude you have, and it's also right to enjoy life. Don't go through with a long face, all this and that. People want to be around people who are excited about what you're doing. Every day I walked down the football field, first thing I said, boy, what a great day to work. And it could be snowing. But if you're happy to be there, people are happy to be around you. It's unbelievable what contagious enthusiasm will do. It's like on TV. I was on there for 10 years with a guy named Mark May. Now, I want to tell you right now, Mark May is a beautiful human being. He's smart, he's professional, he's intelligent, and I love him like a brother. But we had a disagreement. We had no teleprompter, no script, no rehearsal. Our disagreements was actual because he was a player, I was a coach. He made suggestions, I made decisions. He showered after work, I showered before work. He signed a paycheck on the back, I signed it on the front. It just creates a lot of difference of opinion. And I would say to Mark on TV all the time, I really want to agree with you, Mark. I love you so much. I want to agree with you, but if I did, we'd both be wrong. And you don't want that. But when they turn the red light on, I'm going to have fun. I may have a headache. I'm up in Connecticut, away from my family. But when they turn the red light on, you have fun. And we had unbelievable ratings because we entertained and we informed, but we entertained because we had fun doing it. People had fun watching us. It doesn't mean you don't do dumb things. I did the dumbest thing I did. I got on TV one time, called it University of Auburn. Next week, I had on TV and apologized. Said I called it University of Auburn. Many of you wrote and told me it's Auburn University. I'm a quick learner. I appreciate your writing. You don't need to write anymore. I got the message. I won't make the mistake again, but thanks for writing. I then turned to Reese Davis and said, Reese, I had no idea that many people from Auburn could write. You want to talk about death threats? And I only lied on TV one time. Mark May said something about my golf game. I said, I want you to know I'm the best golfer of Lake Nona. Now, we had 17 touring pros at Lake Nona, and I'm not a very good golfer. A lot of people try to shoot their age. I still try to shoot by weight. You know, it's the difference. But I said, I'm the best golfer of Lake Nona. Well, I go to the club the very next day, and they're all over me. You lied. You're a lousy golfer. How could you say that? I said, let me tell you something. 300 members know I lied. 300 million people think I'm a hell of a golfer. So, as we tell you. I could talk forever about the importance of rule number one, just doing what's right. Rule number two, I expect you to do everything to the very best of your ability. Not everybody can be All-American. Not everybody can be All-Conference. Not everybody can be first team. Everybody can be the best you're capable of being. And one of the first things I do when I go into a losing situation, I'd have them come into the stadium, and I'd have a rope there, and after we loosen them up, I say, give me the 15 strongest offense and the 15 strongest defense. We'd have a tug of war. And usually the offense would start to win, and pretty soon the defense would win. You know why? Because when they saw they were losing, they 20-20. Then I had the whole team involved in the tug of war. All the offense on one side, defense. They're grunting and groaning. The offense would usually win. Yeah, we won. I said, we can't win when we pull against each other. I then sit them down on the middle of the field, and I talk to them about teamwork. Let's understand certain things. These things apply to you in your personal life and to business also. First point I make is we need each other. We need offense, defense, kicking game. We need coaches. We need trainers. And above all, we need other people. You need sales. You need production. You need management. There's all kinds of Hall of Fames, but there's never been a monument built to a team. But a team enables you to accomplish something no individual can accomplish, regardless how multi-talented they may be. The second point I make, we have a goal, and you have a role. Our goal is to win. Your role is to cover kickoffs. I expect you to do that to the very best of your ability so you don't jeopardize our goal. Oh, I don't want to cover kickoffs. I want to run the ball. That's not your role. If you want to fail, you have the right to fail. Ladies and gentlemen, you do not have the right to cause other people to fail. I believe in this so strongly. People say, what's the difference between athletes today than when you were younger? Today, everybody wants to talk about their rights and their privileges. 25 years ago, we talked about our obligations and our responsibilities. You join a company. You join a military. You join a team. You join a spouse. You bring a child in the world. You have obligations and responsibilities. And you cannot let other people fail because you don't fulfill your obligation. I'm at the University of Notre Dame. We're ahead of Stanford 16-0, coached by Bill Walsh. And somehow we blew the lead. I was devastated we lost. And you know why we lost the game after I examined it? Because I started letting little things slide. The teachers you respect the most are the ones that were the toughest on you, the most demanding on you. And I started, well, we'll be okay. They'll do it on Saturday. And you let little things slide. And the first thing you let little things slide, it goes downhill and they forget their obligation to other people. So I went to them on Monday. I said, I'm raising the standard. If I'm murdered tonight, the police won't even investigate it because you'll probably all be a suspect. But I want to tell you, I'm raising the standard. We had an All-American guard. Aaron Taylor was injured. And he, in his place, was second string left guard. Didn't take very long into practice, realized second string left guard was just going through the motions. I got so mad I stopped practice. I said, what gives you the right to cause your teammates to fail? The other 10 guys are playing their heart out with nothing to show for it. He hemmed and hawed. I said, go stand on the sideline and think about it. The obligation you have to your teammates, you can't let them down. Why? Third string left guard jumped in the huddle. I said, no, we're going to play without a left guard. I hadn't planned it. We break the huddle. We don't have left guard. The defense going. I said, I know. They said, what do we do? I said, act like we have one. Rick Meyer catches the ball, gets the ball to Reggie Brooks, our tailback. Oliver Gibson comes through the vacant left spot, hits Reggie Brooks. As soon as he gets the ball, tremendous nod. Moment of silence, Reggie started to moan he couldn't see. Scares you. Turned his helmet around. He was okay and came back to the huddle. Ran another play at the same result. By the third play, it opened rebellion. I said, what's wrong? We don't have left guard. I said, when did you notice? They said 3 plays ago. I said, we haven't had one all day. I'm tired of impersonators. I'm tired of imposters. I'm tired of pretenders. We played last week with 8 players and 3 imposters. I'd rather have played with 8, man. Oh, we would have lost. But everybody would have said, wow, if we had 11 like them, we'd never lose. We never lost again for our next 17 straight games. See, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a firm believer. You join a part of an organization, you cannot let other people down because you don't do your role to the very best of your ability. The third point we make is the challenge escalates. The need for teamwork must elevate. You don't need teamwork to lose, but you need it if you're going to succeed. And the greater the competition, the more important it is to work together. In 1 year at the University of Notre Dame, we played the following teams: Michigan, Penn State, Miami of Florida, Tennessee, Texas, Alabama, Southern Cal, and Stanford. Somebody said, how'd you sleep when you looked at the schedule? I said, like a baby. I woke up every 2 hours and cried. I thought, oh. But if you work together. And the fourth point, we can't have a weak link in anything we do. That's why I think it's so important that whatever you do it to the very best of your ability, not because somebody's looking, not because somebody's going to give you an award or say we're proud of you. It's just the way you believe. And let's also understand what your mandate is. My mandate was graduate and win. Not put them in the pros, not graduate and win. If you happen to be in business and you go in, you have 2 mandates, nothing else. Satisfy the customer and make a profit. Nothing else. Everything you do should be focused on how do we satisfy the customer and how do we make a profit. Everything else is irrelevant. And make whatever changes you have to make to satisfy the customer better than anybody else can and to make a profit. Don't change for the sake of changing. But you're going to have to embrace change because people's needs change and you've got to change to meet the needs of the people. I want everybody in this room to picture a train wreck. I want you to picture 2 huge trains coming together. You go, wow, is that going to be a bad train wreck? I promise you, everybody in this room, watch that train wreck from a safe distance. You're going, wow, is that going to be bad? Now I want you to be on the train. You're on the train, there's going to be a huge train wreck. Now you're going to make whatever changes you have to make because you understand you're part of the problem. But embrace change. But when we talk about doing everything the very best of your ability, we're doing that so we can reach the mandate we have. That's rule number 2. I could talk for an hour about each one of these. But let me get to the third rule. Show people you care. Ladies and gentlemen, nothing's more important in this world than building a love and a feeling on a football team. And you get people to make good choices, and one of the choices is to love people. You can find 100 things to dislike about everybody. You can find 100 things to like about them also if you get to know them. My wife, as I said, is a cancer survivor. And we're opposites night and day. I kid you not. She said opposites attract and then attack. She has no sense of humor. I say that not because she just doesn't look that way or think that way. But she left me a note a couple months ago and said, Lou, I can't please everybody in the world, so I'm going to stop trying. I go focus on pleasing one person a day, and the day's not your day, and tomorrow doesn't look real promising either. She'd done one interview in her entire life, one, because it had to do with cancer. And they said to her on TV, what did you learn from having cancer? She said, I learned how much my family loved me. Ladies and gentlemen, we didn't love her anymore. We showed it. Why do we have to wait for somebody to have a catastrophe before we let them know how much we appreciate them, etc.? When my mother and father passed away and I went back home and cleaned out the belongings, every letter I wrote in college or when I was in the Army, they had saved. See, ladies and gentlemen, just let people know, hey, you don't have to spend a lot of money doing it. It doesn't take an awful lot of effort. I tell my wife every day, I love you now and you can't do a doggone thing about it. I write my children a letter. We have 4 children. They're all girls but 2. And I write them a letter. And I said, you may be president of this great country. You may end up in prison. I don't know, but I'll tell you there are 3 things that are never going to change. 1, you're always going to be my child. I'm always going to love you. And I'm always going to be here for you. Ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't take an awful lot of effort to write that to your children to let them know how much you care. The athletes want to know how much you care. And my wife says, how can you talk about caring about people with a bumper sticker on your car? I got a bumper sticker on my car that she really dislikes. So when we go to 8 o'clock Mass, she makes me park in the back of the parking lot and back it in where people can't see it. And the bumper sticker said, Jesus loves you. Everybody else thinks you're an asshole. I'll be at a red light, I look up the mirror, the guy's getting out of his car taking a picture of my bumper sticker. But caring about people. You know, we won the national championship and we're at the White House the afternoon. We catch a charter plane back. We're at South Bend that night. I'm awakened at midnight where I was told by the police that Bobby Satterfield, a player on the team, had died of a congenital heart defect that night. There wasn't a trace of drugs or alcohol in his system. In the afternoon, he's at the White House. That night, he's dead. I told the school operator, call all the football players, tell them I want a team meeting tomorrow at 7:30 before classes. I wanted to tell them about Bobby Satterfield. When I told them Bobby Satterfield passed away last night, one young man passed out. Many players cried openly. If you're in that room, you couldn't tell Bobby Satterfield was offense or defense from the West Coast or the East Coast. You couldn't tell if he's white or black. You couldn't tell if he was first team or third team. You couldn't tell if he was scholarship or walk-on. What you could tell, the players lost a member of that team that they truly loved. Bobby Satterfield was a black defensive back from California, third team, walk-on. I could not put a film on and say, what's Bobby Satterfield here? When the game was in doubt. They loved him, not because he's a great player, but because he's part of the team. It doesn't have a thing to do with your talent and your ability. Why? We treat somebody so much better because they're in a power of authority, and we do not treat the mailman or the paper boy or something. You treat everybody, and that's what made that team great, when there's love and there's feeling. I'm in South Carolina, and there were a lot of players that didn't like our quarterback. They felt he was aloof. But they didn't know about him. They just thought, he isn't one of us. So what I did, I had different players get up every night and talk about their background. When our quarterback got up and said to the team, I was 12 years of age, I loved my dad. He taught me to hunt and fish and throw a football. And I was 12 years of age. He came in and kissed me, told me he loved me, and went in the other room and shot himself, committed suicide. He said, I've never wanted to be close to anybody again because I know the pain to be close than to lose somebody. We had an offensive lineman named Kevin Rivers. They wondered, why is Coach so patient with them? See, ladies and gentlemen, I've never disciplined anybody. The greatest misconceptions, I'm a disciplinarian. I'm not. I never discipline my children. All I am going to do is enforce the choices you make. Son, if you choose not to do your chores, you're choosing to stay in Saturday night. That wasn't my decision to stay in Saturday night. That was your choice. You choose to violate the do right rule, you're choosing not to play. That's your choice. I'm going to enforce your choice. I'm not disciplining anybody. But they couldn't understand why it's so patient. Till Kevin Rivers got up and said he was a junior in high school. He lived with his father and his grandfather and his younger brother, who was a freshman in high school. He never knew his mother. His dad was coming home from work, was killed in an automobile accident. When they told his grandfather about it, his grandfather died of a heart attack. Same day, he loses his father and his grandfather. All he has is his younger brother. He's responsible. He sort of felt the world was against him. All of a sudden, the players understood, and they reach out to our quarterback, to Kevin Rivers, the love and the feeling. Kevin Rivers became an excellent player. Also graduated from the University of South Carolina because the teammates supported him and everything he did, rather than saying he's different than us. Ladies and gentlemen, I could talk forever about the importance of doing what's right, doing the best you can, and show people you care. Why are those 3 rules so important? Because everybody asks 3 questions. Same 3 questions everybody asks about your spouse, your children. I don't care what country you're in. I don't care anything. They ask these 3 questions. First question everybody asks, can I trust you? Ladies and gentlemen, without trust, there can be no relationship whatsoever. People have to be able to trust you. I had to have players I could trust. They had to be able to trust me. Now, if you agree with me, my wife and I have been married together 112 years, 56 apiece, but together, 112. I'm proud of my math. But the reason is I can trust her and she trusts me. If you lose the trust of somebody, you cannot have a relationship with them. Now, this is a very smart group. If trust is important to a relationship, how can I make sure people can always trust me? That's why we had rule number 1. Remember, rule number 1 was do what's right? You do what's right, because if you do what's right, you're going to build a trust. And if you have trust with one another, you can have a relationship. Rule number 1 wasn't so you can say, I'm going to go to heaven, or I'm a goody-goody guy. You do rule number 1 all the time, the right thing, so people can trust us. The second question everybody asks, are you committed to excellence? Do you want to be good? Oh, you can have all the slogans you want. First will be best, then will be first. You send a message whether you're committed to excellence by the standard you have. See, ladies and gentlemen, everybody wants to know, are you committed to excellence? I did the David Faraday show, and, we're up there in Notre Dame's locker room, and he said to me, this locker room wasn't this nice when you're here. I said, oh, no, Father Joyce didn't want to spend any money on anything. And we didn't have carpeting or fancy things, TV, sofas. It was nice. I said, no, David, but I want to tell you, we came into our locker room. We dressed, we went out one, we came in, showered, and left. But if you went in our locker room, I promise you, you would say, boy, are they committed to excellence. Not because we had fancy carpeting, because every helmet was where it belonged. Every shoe was where it belonged. The shoulder pads were hung in a special place. By doing the little things, you show people you're totally committed to excellence. That's why rule number 2 is so critical. You go into a store. One thing you're going to look at is the cleanliness of it. I mentioned to Dr. Brooks, we're coming up. I said how much pride they have here at Trine. The way the floor is painted, the way the cleanliness, everything tells you whether you're committed to excellence. That's why it's important to do little things, even though nobody's looking, because it lets people know you're committed to excellence. And the last question everybody asks, do you care about me? You care about me kind, run or throw. That's why I said the 2 most important days in your life. The day you're born and the day you discover why you're born. That was a comment made by Mark Twain many, many years ago, but it's so true today. When we discover we're born, basically to help other people. There's no such thing as magic in anything you do. I fool around with magic a little bit. And I just feel that I've been so blessed in so many spots. Not many people know I was an officer in the Army. Matter of fact, June, I spent 8 days in Korea on the DMZ zone, visited with the troops. Every 2 years I go visit the troops. 2 years ago I went to Afghanistan. Traveled by Black Hawk helicopter up into the mountains where the battle was going on. I had to wear a 35-pound flak jacket, a helmet. I had an expert rifleman with me all the time. I got home, my wife said, "Were you ever scared?" I said, "Not till I landed in Chicago." That's the first time I got scared. Then they give you a questionnaire. I'm going into the combat zone. Who should we contact in case of emergency? I put down a doctor. If it's don't call my wife, call a doctor. But I like doing simple old magic for you. It's like any other newspaper. You have front page for people who want to read the news. You have the comics for people who can't read. And, we always have the editorial, if I can find it, we always have the editorial page for people who can't think. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to take somebody you love, admire, and respect. Take somebody you got a problem with. Can be anybody in this world. Put these 3 questions on both people. Simple yes or no. Can you trust them, yes or no? Are they committed to excellence? Yes or no? Do they care about you and the organization? Yes or no? I used to do this with a phone book when I was younger, but I guarantee you, the person you admire and respect, you just said yes to all 3 questions. The person you got a problem with, you pinpointed the problem. Either can't trust them, they aren't committed, or they don't care. It's like anything else in what you do. There isn't any such thing as magic. If I can get that open again. And that's what happens when you don't have real good hand-eye coordination later. But it's just like anything else. And ladies and gentlemen, all I ever tried to do was get people I could trust, get people who were committed, people care. There's a statue of me at Notre Dame. I guess they need a place for the pigeons to land, but be that as may. But if you're going to look at it, don't look at the statue. Look at the pedestal. There's 3 words: trust, commitment, and love. That's our foundation. And in leadership, that's all you do. Now, if you're a leader, sometimes you're going to have to reprimand other people. And when people violated those rules, my children are an athlete. I sit down and say, "Jim, I don't believe that's doing the best you can in Spanish 2. Here's why. Got an A in Spanish 1, you're getting a D in Spanish 2. You missed class 3 times, study hall twice, tutor once. I don't believe that's the best you can do, and I want to know why." You never attack the performer. But you have an obligation to attack the performance. Don't make it personal. But you don't let people get by with less than the best they're capable of being. And you follow those 3 rules, and you get the athletes to follow. Their self-image comes up. Their confidence comes up because they feel good about themselves. I promise you. But what you say to somebody is important. But what you say is not near as important as your tone of voice. And your tone of voice is not near as important as your facial expression. If I went back into coaching, I'd be a better coach than I've ever been before. Because when a guy screws up, instead of grabbing him by the face mask, I'd put my arm around him. And I'd say, "Jim, that was a dumbass thing to do. And you're going hey, I want to tell you, you're going to regret that Monday when nobody's around, because I'm going to run you into the ground. I may even take your scholarship away, son." That coach loves that player. Look at that. It's letting people the way you do certain things. We're going to have a question and answer, but I want to illustrate those points. I'm in South Carolina, and it's about June 8th. We had the longest losing streak in the country. I find out at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 players from the previous team were arrested for selling drugs. They weren't on the team, but they were on the team last year. And everybody ate dinner at 6. I wanted a team meeting at 7. I was so mad. We had the longest losing streak in the country. I'm here 18 months, and they still didn't trust me to tell me that was going on. They knew it. I was so mad. Everybody has an assigned seat, freshman, back, sophomore, and you move up. I'm talking to the seniors. Why didn't you trust me? Nobody said a word. Then a sophomore gets up, Jonathan Martin. He said, "Coach, I trust you." He said, "I believe this team trusts you." Looked around the rooms, a lot of my teammates say, "Can't trust you. You lie, you cheat, you steal, you do drugs. You don't care about anybody but yourself. You don't care about the team." And Andre Goodman, a junior, played 11 years in the NFL as a defensive back, got up. Said, "I agree with him." He said, "I can't trust anybody in this thing. I go shower. I got to lock my locker. You'll pilfer everything I've got." The problem on that team, they didn't trust one another. There wasn't a commitment to excellence. There were too many people who cared only about themselves. They hadn't planned it, so I did the manager, give him a sheet of paper. I said, I want you to write down everything you did since I've been here to violate the trust, the commitment, the love, which are our rules. It'll be confidential, but I want you to really give it some thought. You come back tomorrow when summer school classes end, 2 o'clock. They came into the team meeting at 2 o'clock. They had their paper. I said, follow me. We went out to the practice field. Now, South Carolina had a tradition. Every time they won a big game on the road, they put a little tombstone. Had the date, the name, the score of the opponent. Wasn't a very big graveyard. There's just a couple out there. That morning, I had a tombstone delivered, this big blank. We dug a hole in it, put every one of those papers in, burned it up, filled it up with dirt, and put the tombstone on top blank. But we made a commitment to one another. If we had a teammate that we couldn't trust, wasn't committed, and didn't care, then they would come to me. But that was going to be our core values, and we weren't just going to talk about it. 6 months later, second greatest turnaround in the history of NCAA football. Now, those are the only 3 things I've ever tried to do with my children and with the athletes. And then you put good fundamentals with. Good football teams learn how to block and tackle. Somebody said, what do you want on your tombstone? I want to say, I told you I was sick. Nobody believes you're sick, but if you don't do that, put he believed in fundamentals, just the blocking and tackling. And that's how we try to do it. And I know it's as simple as that, ladies and gentlemen. I know you're saying it can't be more complicated, but it isn't. And I don't care whether you're raising children or if you're going to be in a leadership role, as Woody Hayes used to say, if you want to have a friend, buy a dog. Your obligation to make people the very best they can be, and that only happens when you raise their self-image and they raise the standard of what they believe in themselves. I keep looking at my watch. I've already talked for 50 minutes. I was only supposed to talk 45. I could talk for another 3 hours, but that's your fault. You sat here. You got up and moved out. I would have left a long time ago. And I don't know. What do you pay these people to come here? I can't believe you came here. But we're going to have a question and answer. I love to have a question and answer, but I usually don't, and I'll tell you why. Because people don't ask questions. They say, I don't want to ask a question. That's a dumb, stupid question. There's no such thing as a dumb, stupid question in any area. I hope you ask about Notre Dame football or whatever else case, but who has a question on anything? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'll just come up here to the microphone. Great talk as always.
Well, thank you.
Coach. 1974 graduate of the University of Notre Dame, but I have one key question for you.
Yes, sir.
After following your career and hearing you speak, how would you rate our current president on those 3 dimensions in terms of trust, commitment, and love? Seriously, it's a very important question.
I'd like to apologize. That's a dumb, stupid question. No. It didn't matter what question. I make that comment, but I won't put those on. I won't put those on President Trump. I won't put it on President Obama. But how about putting it on government in general? Can you trust the government? Do they care? Do they do everything the very best they're building? Do they care about us and the people who work? That's why when you go poll, you put those 3 questions on the politicians and ask the one that happens to be their best. As I say, that's what makes... People fought for this country for freedom. You know what freedom is? Freedom to choose. Now, last year, I had some wonderful things happen to me. Last year, I had 2 players that played for me at Notre Dame put in the NFL Hall of Fame. Now, that's no small feat, right? I also had 3 players that played for me at Notre Dame added to the Notre Dame coaching staff. Todd Light, defensive back, Autry Denson, running back, and Jeff Burris. I also had 2 players that played for me last year added to the board of trustees of Notre Dame. Now, that's no small feat. Byron Spruell, who was number 3 man at Deloitte Touche, is now president of the NBA, and Rod West, vice president of Arkansas Power and Louisiana Gas. All 7 of them, Afro-Americans. All 7 of them have every reason to say life's not fair, people are... I'm not taking credit for it. His family does. They came from all different backgrounds. But the point is they learned to make good choices. And you always make good choices when you follow those 3 rules. And I say when you go to the ballot box, You put those 3 rules on everybody you're going to ask on it, and then we'll be fine. Very good question. Who else has a question on anything? That's what I said. Nobody asks questions. Huh? Okay, then I'm gonna make a couple comments. First of all, I'm going to talk about the Notre Dame football team. I think this is an outstanding football team. It has a chance to make it to the Final Four and be in the playoffs. I love what their defensive coordinator is doing. I love the fact that they run the ball now. I'm a big fan of Brian Kelly. I think he's an excellent coach. I also said it on TV, I'd complain about they didn't run the ball enough. And they finally played LSU in the bowl game and beat LSU. And next time I saw him, he said, well, Coach, he said, we ran the ball 55 times against LSU. I hope you're happy. I said, how'd that work out for you? So it just, being able to run the football, and I think they do that very well. I think their offensive line is outstanding. They have 2 All-Americans in that offensive line. Defensively, they're playing very well. Southern Cal is very erratic. They tend to make an awful lot of mistakes. And I love playing Southern Cal. USC stood for University of Spoiled Children. And most people went to USC rather than UCLA because it was easier to spell. And I think Miami is getting by with the skin of their teeth. I don't think they're good. Stanford could be a little difficult there, and we play NC State here. NC State might be the best team we play the rest of the year, but I think they're on a mission, and nothing would please me more than to see them rise to the very top, because college football is better when Notre Dame happens to be on top. There's no doubt about it. And then as far as to the students here, those 3 rules I talk about, that I wished I'd have known that when I was in college. I never had a lot of faith or confidence in myself, and only when it grows. Do you have a question?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can you extend love and understanding for Colin Kaepernick and the position he's taken in separating the whole flag issue from the abuse issue?
I think this. It's a very, very good question. I've been on TV so much on that. I think life's a matter of choices. You do choose to do different things. Now, first thing I told the football team in the fall, we will not use this football team to promote any cause other than the university. We're not going to use it to promote gay rights, abortion, gun law. If you want to do that on your own, God bless you. You go do it on your own. But let me tell you something in the NFL. That is your workplace. Now, the Supreme Court ruled you cannot work for Walmart and say a lot of damaging things about Walmart. That is not free speech. That football field happens to be your workplace. If you want to go do anything else, here's what bothers me. I've looked on Facebook or Twitter or listened to TV. Nobody's gone on TV and said, this is what we're upset about. And so the only thing you can draw the conclusion is they're against the flag, because that's what they do. They may not be. And I know I've been to Afghanistan, Korea, and there are many NFL players and many NFL coaches that go there. I know they love this country. They love what it stands for. I understand. I also understand there's problems with this country, but that's not the place to make your point. I believe that. Now, what happened to the owners? In college, the locker room's critical. But in college, I had them in the dorm, I had them at training table, I had them in study hall, as well as practice. In the NFL, you only have them before practice and after practice. That's the only time that whole team's together. After they get out of the locker room, they go to their families, they go to their homes, they go to the motel, and they go in all different directions. And if you don't have a unified front, remember what I said, we all have a goal. And as long as that goal is to win, then everybody's trying to figure out how we can win. But if you're in that locker room and you've got a lot of people that have different objectives rather than winning, which is why you're paid, that's where it creates a problem. The owners made their money by the free enterprise system. I know Bob Kraft, the owner of the New England Patriots, when he bought that, he bought it for $25 million, and then he went to close it. They wanted another $3 million. He had to sign a note, and he didn't have anything. Every cent he had, he put into it. He said, I signed that note. I had no idea whether I'd end up in debtor's prison or not. Now it's worth multi-millions. But the point I made, they made sacrifice. They took a gamble. They believed in the free enterprise system. So I know they believe in this country. By the same token, they want to win. They're very competitive. They want a unified locker room. We have 3 players in there that have a difference of opinion. Well, let's see how we can work it out. We'll all present one united front. That does not really help. That's why it came about the way it was. I think you can improve a football team or a business by adding good people. You also improve a team by deleting bad people. There's some people that create a negative attitude. I can't explain why, but what happened to the New York Giants? They're 0-5. They lose to the Chargers last week. Chargers were 0-4. Last night, they lose their top receiver, great receiver. Their defensive back, was suspended because they walked out of the locker room on Wednesday or out of a team meeting. They played without their leading receiver. They're going to get back. They played a great game. They were all focused. They worked together. There was an enthusiasm and excitement. That's what a team's about. A team will be greater than the sum of its parts if you have the attitude right, etc. Colin Kaepernick, first time I saw him was his freshman at Nevada. Quarterback got injured. He came in against Boise State, put on an unbelievable exhibition, running and throwing. As a true freshman. They ended up losing like in 6 overtimes to Boise State. So I followed his career from that point on because he was impressive. He had a great career. He's one of the better quarterbacks there. But the owners have to decide what is going to help our team. I can't make that decision. If somebody signs Colin Kaepernick, people are saying the Packers should. That's their choice. Whatever choice they make, hey, that's up to them. Same thing with Colin Kaepernick. However, you remember this if nothing else. Choices have ramifications. Yes, sir.
How you doing, Coach? I'm
One step from suicide. But I am 2 steps ahead of the posse.
I'm a football coach in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So I just wanted to ask you, how do you create vision in the community that fits with your football program?
What do you mean by vision in the community?
The vision for your football program to be successful. How do you display that in the community and get the kids involved?
That is a very good question. But I also want to say this, Coach. It's also your obligation to promote it, so that there's enthusiasm, excitement, and interest in your team, which helps the team want to perform well and wants other people to want to be part of the team. I remember as this small, during World War II in East Liverpool High School, the band played and marched to the football field. Everybody in the town would go to the football game. I could hardly wait to be able to play high school football. But you go speak at the Kiwanis Club, you go speak at the Rotary, you get your team involved in doing a lot of charitable things, the things that will be recognized. One of the things I did in South Carolina, at the first press conference, I made the comment, we must have the cleanest cars in the state or in the entire country because everybody throws their trash on the highways. I've never seen more trash my entire life. So they named me to be responsible for cleaning up the trash. One of the things I did, on a Saturday, I had every football player, we went out and we picked up trash on the highway. You know what they did? I ain't throwing any more trash on the highway. They understood. We did get an award my second year for the most improved cleanliness in any state. But you figure out, it's a true story. You figure out how you can get your team involved in the community, and then by going to the various Kiwanis clubs, etc. They're always looking for speakers. Great question. Yes, sir.
Yeah. After everything you've learned in your career, what do you think is your definition of leadership?
My definition of leadership is eliminating a mistake before it happens. I say this by leadership, and somebody said, is there any great people born in this town? He said, no, we just have babies born here. I do not believe you're born a leader. I think you are exactly what you think. You are nothing more, nothing less. And I think leadership can be developed. But if you ask me one thing about leadership, it's a passion for the end result. If I have a passion for something, I'm going to get involved in it. If sometimes the people that become the captains weren't the best players, but they're always the ones that had a passion to see that the whole organization succeeded? That's an outstanding question. I hadn't really thought about that much, but to me, if you have a passion for the end result, then you're going to encourage everybody else around you. Your enthusiasm, your excitement is going to become contagious on it. But you have to have a vision where you want to take the organization, a plan how you're going to get there. You lead by example. You hold people accountable for the choice they make. But also as a leader, you've got to make sure everybody in the organization understands your core values. What holds a country together, what holds a team together, what holds a family together are core values. Our core values were trust, commitment, love, and core values anything that you will not compromise. I will not compromise on those three things. Does that answer it?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please thank me for having Coach Holtz.
Whoa. One last comment. One last comment. The things I talked about, the stories I shared with you, I could talk for an hour on each one of those 3 points. That's how strongly I believe it. But if you want to be happy for an hour, eat a steak. Want to be happy for a day? Play golf. Want to be happy for a week? Go on a cruise. Now, to me, going on a cruise like being in jail, except you have a chance to drown, but that's what you want. Want to be happy for a month? Buy a new car. Want to be happy for a year? Win the lottery. Want to be happy for a lifetime? Make sure people would miss you if you didn't show up. And the only people who miss are those that add value to other people's lives. When you come to the conclusion adding value to other people's lives is the day you discover why you're born. I'm overwhelmed by the turnout. It's great to be here at Trine, and congratulations on the great success you've had. Thank you for having me. God bless you. Thank you. Oh. Thank you. Okay.
Stay here with me a minute. Coach, looking at this crowd, you probably played to this biggest crowd we've had in this house. But we put together a brief video we'd like to share with you and everybody here about some of your moments spent on our campus. And I'm going to invite the chairman of our board of trustees, Rick James, to come up and join me for a special presentation at this time. But everybody, please turn your attention to the screen for this brief video.
Congratulations to the Trine football team, 6-0. Good luck this week. I can't get Trine out of my mind. It's such a great school, and the problem I'm having is narrowing down all the positive things about Trine. There are just too many. What I need from you, what are the 3 best things that you think I should put in this book? Congratulations to the graduates that we're celebrating here today. I'm proud to be associated with Trine because of their values and what they accept. I believe that education is critical. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Coach Holtz, at this time, on behalf of the Trine University Board of Trustees, I would like to proclaim and present a declaration of thanks to you that reads, To all to whom these presents shall come, greetings, be it known that Louis L. Holtz, having served Trine University as a member of the Board of Trustees with distinction and excellence, and upon approval by the Trine University Board of Trustees, hereby declare Louis L. Holtz as trustee emeritus with all rights, responsibilities, and privileges appertaining thereto. Signed and sealed at Trine University, Angola, Indiana, the 16th day of October, 2017. Coach Holtz, thank you for your dedication, your commitment, and your love of Trine University. God bless you.
He has. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.